Hey, welcome back. We are here looking at a different project maybe today. Hmm, should we? Uh, So, as you guys know, the last couple of videos, we've been looking at some of the artwork we've been doing for Andrew's book, which has been, rapidly getting interesting. We are not going to do that today. We're not going to open up a secret little project book either. So, it's on the move. We are working diligently on this one, but we haven't moved today. We're not gonna spoil things just yet. We got a lot of stuff to get done. Um, I have something that I was sketching, but I don't know what it is. I don't like it, so we're gonna flip the page, and maybe another day we'll come back and look at this if at all it interests us in the future. So until then, vamos por acá. I was thinking, let's see, we have, I think I left our book of interesting things in the other room, but we have some books that I would highly recommend you guys to check out. This is one that is going to play a big influence in another secret project working on. This isn't the actual book with the project. It has its name. It's hiding over there somewhere. We're not showing that for who knows how long. But some of the artwork and some of the styles that we'll be trying out for that project will come from this book. And it's all about lighting and showing us how to get into drawing shapes, different types of human shapes, hairstyles, all those kinds of things that are very important when you're trying to get into artwork, especially if you're like me, sometimes trapped in a mindset of what you want to draw. And sometimes you just kind of like have to figure out a way to get past it. So, in the spirit of doing something slightly different, something a little more difficult, we're going to do something out of this book. How about that? We'll look at some example of a piece of art, facial features, maybe bodies, we don't know. And we'll get an idea of a job or a task that we want to build out that will probably help us be inspired and influenced in the next projects that we're working on. So let's go ahead and wait a minute. Maybe I don't want to do that either. That's too much hard work. Let's do something easier. Another little book that we like. Stan Lee. Who's Stan Lee? Don't ask that silly question. If you were born in this past 100 years, you know who Stan Lee is. Rest in peace. But Stan the Man was one of the icons and creating what we enjoy now as Marvel Comics. We won't get into his whole history and his whole life, but this book, this book is magical. It's pretty new. I found it here in Spanish, in Peru, but we can work around that. Most of the examples that we're going to be looking at, like I said, we're going to look at how people set up work. We're going to look at how they do things slightly different from how we do things. I have always been a muscles and fighting type genre type artist as a kid. Anything from Mortal Kombat to what was the name of the other thing? Oh, Dragon Ball. You can find me drawing it. I mean, you could probably go to my Instagram and find a few of the examples of my Dragon Ball Z artwork. But getting past those niche topics, sometimes it's good to go ahead and look at something else and do something completely different from what you're used to. So, in the spirit of it, we'll look at something in here. This book is pretty good as well, like the other one, and get an idea of something to draw for today's video. Well, let's find a scene. I guess a scene would be great. Tell you what, guys, it's hot in this room. It's cold outside. It's hot in here. Trying to get a video done. It's not the best combination. All right, we'll be right back. Where did you go? I'm back. Like I said, it's hot in here. We're gonna go ahead and take an image. Hit Silver Surfer. Marvel is getting ready to launch that movie, Fantastic Four, in a couple of weeks. That's gonna be fun. I'm looking forward to it. Yeah, seeing all the old ones except for that one with Michael B. Jordan. Sorry, Michael B. Love you, my dude, but yeah, I didn't even. And I've gone back and watched some really bad movies just to see what they were talking about, but I just couldn't get. Sorry, maybe in the future. Let's see. Let's see. You know, iconic works. Dynamite. It was some good work right here. I used to love this back in the day. What's it called? The Power Girls. It was a different girl, simple girl. Danger Girl. That was the business back in the day, fam. That was the business. Let's see. One Piece. Sailor Moon and One Piece. If you know, you know. Let's go with, I don't know. I'm having a hard time with this, fellas. Let's just toss this book to the curb. Sorry, Stanley. Not saying anything I really want to go out of there today. So let's go back with this one. Ink. And we'll pick up on one of these very simple ones. How about this one? Statue of Liberty. There's a little bit of casting, shadows, a little bit of interesting figures being played on this. You can see it. I think you can see it. There's Statue of Liberty. There's the silhouette of the individual, the immigrant who's making it there. And you have personal perspective. And we're going to go ahead and just use this as our example today for it. So let's turn this around. I'm using color pencils today. I found that these things, I don't know why people don't use them much more often than you should, especially when you're learning how to draw. I've learned over the last couple of weeks, it's so much easier than using my number 2. I love my number 2, but it's like, this is for me, it's like using ink almost. It's like set in on what you're doing. Whereas something as simple as, using simple shapes with no real compromise makes things a lot easier. Okay, we'll go with the shape already. We'll take the head, the crown, there, shoulder, boop, hands. Most people really hate drawing hands. I've only learned to be traumatized by it. It wasn't a problem years ago. Man, I used to love to draw hands. I used to just didn't have an issue. But without practicing, you can fall into some old bad habits of not actually working on the stuff that you should be working on. So, y'all see that? Yeah, I think you can see it. All right. So we have Lady Liberty pretty much in her position. In a few minutes, we'll start working on a robe. Right now, all we want to do, like I said, is get some of these simple shapes in there. There's a color for that. Chin. To front. So at an angle, things are going to be shortened. A lot of stuff will be shortened. What we have for a crown, it kind of stands up like a square at the front. and curves around and comes back. All right. They don't have seem to be like spikes coming, protruding from the head. And for the most part, there is Lady Liberty. We'll keep going in with some more of these shapes to give us an idea of texture. You guys got to forgive me. I'm having asthma attacks a lot lately. And off and on crisis. All right. There we have it. We have, for the most part, an outline of Lady Liberty. We'll go ahead and use the blue Cyrus pencil and give us the head of the child that was being carried by his mother. We'll assume, I think one of the things a lot of people don't realize when you're talking about immigration is sometimes what you assume is taking place isn't actually taking place. A lot of criticism may be thrown around about who's coming into a country and why they're coming. And, people have long stories. They have sometimes biblical stories to tell. So this might not even be his mom. This could be his aunt or his grandmother. Parents could have been grievously injured or murdered or arrested and not allowed to travel. And so to avoid more problems, maybe this family member has taken this child out of this nation to find a better life. So, no, we won't get into politics on this. It's not for that. But as an individual who is it, technically an immigrant, I live in a different country. It's not always as black and white as you think it is. And a lot of people really do love to scapegoat on immigrants. Not every immigrant is perfect. Not even every citizen of a nation is perfect. But scapegoating on those folks is like politics 101. So just be aware that not every story on TV is being told for your benefit or to protect you. So there's some more trees up front. And birds in the background. There's an image that we were looking at, we were taking our inspiration from. Is a great opportunity to look at what really takes place in the scene. Sometimes we just see the item, we'll see the focal point. In this case, it's the Statue of Liberty. It's trying to tell a story that they finally made it. And you go to these previous panels, you see desperation and sadness and hope. But now you get the realization of it. And as you may know, it's the illusion of hope, because sometimes things don't always go the way you want them to go when you get to, let's say, the promised land. So let's move on in. Let's get some good details on this artwork and continue our little discussion on why we should be more aware of what's going on. I hate politics, though. When I hear about politics, we can care less about that kind of stuff. But politically speaking, I'm just with you guys. So here we are. We got more detail in on the robe. I like how this artist has decided to use some very simple shapes to maneuver through the complexity of something so iconic as the Statue of Liberty's robe. He's obviously, as he sat in front of it, I would assume sat in front of it, decided to take a little bit of time to just kind of engage with the most, um, I don't know, I don't say simplest shapes that he could find within the rope, and just, kind of maneuver through that to say, okay, well, quick rough sketch. This is what I see. And probably later on, as he got ready to start to work on finishing this task, he worked a little bit harder and getting more detail in there so that the inker, because usually that's another thing I didn't know. I heard about it, but most artists aren't the people who are doing the ink work, and especially in comics. You'll have an artist who's commissioned to do a job. He'll draw out his part, and then he'll give it to an inker who's, really like, just genius, if you ask me, if he knows how to follow some of the instructions. And he'll take pens or paintbrushes or other tools, markers, to come up with the line work. And so I found this recently. It's literally yesterday. This is a pack of calligraphy pens. I don't know how to use them, but we'll learn. Okay, we're gonna learn how to use these. I love calligraphy writing. I see people do this stuff everywhere. It's like, wow, you guys are amazing. But my go-to has always been this one, this art line. It's from 0.05 up to, I think, 0.8. I love these pens. I mean, you get most of the texture stuff that you want in there. You can, scribble, scratch, get some dark lines if you want, some not so dark lines as well. Yeah, those are my friends. And like I was talking about in the previous video, some of the things that I'm able to do now, as far as like artwork, is because I don't want this talent that I've had literally almost all my life to just go to waste. In my first years here at the mission area, it was necessary. This is part of how I was able to finance our stay and our work, until we got people who supported us and other churches to support us. But when you're trying to feed a family, you're trying to do the Lord's work, sometimes, you have to use what you have. So I'm good at cooking. I've cooked for people, sold food. I've done, from baked goods in the streets to full-blown dinners. And all those experiences have led me to understand that, maybe not being able to do it 100% of the time for a salary isn't the worst thing in the world, as long as you have it to fall back on and do, so you could, I don't know, support somebody else. Yeah, raise funds for somebody else who's in need, who's trying to do the same work but don't have access to people who want to support them. So yeah, we do that too. Not every dime that comes in is just for me and my family. Sometimes it's to help other people. But yeah, so here we are. We're back at the artwork. We're not talking about politics. We're not talking about mission work. We're having a conversation as we get through this piece of artwork. So yeah, one of the things that I've been talking about lately, especially with my wife, is this idea of getting past fears. I think you're seeing me in front of a camera now, but for so many years I've avoided getting on camera because I didn't feel adequate. I thought maybe people wouldn't appreciate what I have to say, or people would judge me or whatever. And I realized, the most important people in my life are parents. They're dead and gone, So receiving criticisms from others, it's gonna happen, and it's not gonna hurt as much. And I did everything I could to make them proud while they were alive. And so at this stage, I'm assuming my wife and kid, they're proud of me. Friends probably, my siblings maybe, I don't know. We'll see. But in this stage, I'm turning 42 in 10 days. Um, I've just gotten to the point where, you like it, you love it, you hate it. It's on you. It's not on me. Anyway, so we're almost done here with Lady Liberty. We're gonna finish in with these fine details around her chin. Try to get the shapes just right. We don't have to deal with something perfect. That's not what we're looking for. We're just trying to get something that's close to what we want. But like I said, this is us just having fun. We really want to get to the point where when we sit down and we start drawing, we don't feel the pressure of the world to make a masterpiece. We just want to feel like we're getting better at it. And that can take time. It's not going to happen overnight. I know means will it happen overnight. But as long as you see the changes, that's the most important part. All right, so Lady Liberty is looking pretty good here. Get this out of her head. Going in. There's one of the places I want to see before I die, probably, the Statue of Liberty in person. My mother and I had the dream of going to Machu Picchu. She never got a chance to before she passed. I got to go twice, maybe 3 times. I want to say maybe 3 times. In all my years of living here in Peru. I didn't have a signal to call her from up there, but I did get to tell her a little bit about it. It's a very beautiful place, very inspirational. Got to talk about it in some sermons a couple of times, and yeah, if you've never been, has to be on the list, my dude, or do that, friend. Take your family out, let them see some of the craziest wonders that the world has ever witnessed. It's amazing. Right. Almost done. Okay. We're gonna probably end it around here. Like I said, we don't really have to get every single detail, every single shape. But what we do want is to feel comfortable with the work that we've done. So, all right. I want to give a quick shout out to our friends, supporters, family, our Patreon members. If you're not on there yet, please hop over to the Patreon, get some insight as to some of the other projects that we're working on. And yeah, let's just go ahead and shut this up. Can you see that? Can y'all see that? Does that look good at all? Looking okay? Statue of Liberty? Okay, it's okay. Yep. I'll sharpen that tip just a little bit more. I like the little fine tip. Then we'll just go around the border and we're done with this one. So, like I said, I want you guys to take the time to come visit us on the site, on this page, to get a little inspiration, a little bit of stories to both sides of the story on some topics. We're not trying to change people's mind on everything, not at all. But I think dialogue is oftentimes left to let's see. I don't know what I want to say. Let's just leave it at that. We don't always know what we want to say. We don't always know how to convince people that points of views aren't always just right and wrong. Sometimes it's just a different point of view. And as a person who's had multiple changing points of views, I'll just tell you, take time, breathe, accept that not every single conversation will terminate with you winning or with you losing a friend. Sometimes you might feel like you need to distance yourself from people. That's okay. It happens. But if you give yourself time to heal, to search for an answer, and to be willing to hear, your point of view over and over again, but also someone else's, it's possible to make good friends for life, friends that differ from you on a genre of things. And you just might learn that those people are valuable. I think that's probably the one thing I think we don't consider nowadays, is that people from different world or have a different perspective on life are considered as valuable. And if we can get back to respecting and honoring the value of life and of people, it might be better. It just might be a little bit better than if it's been a while. All right. I think that will do it. We'll give the illusion that we're going to put writing inside. We're not. There we go. Let's see. Well, friends, y'all have a good one. Put some more curls on this kid's head first. Go right there, right there. Right there. We don't want to leave him there, like he's not important, because like I said, the immigrants are important. And there's our piece for today. Take the time to get out, talk to people, listen to people, learn about not only what you love or what you hold dear, learn about what other people hold dear. And as I was saying in our book that we'll get it back up there. I've been working on editing it recently. Got to finish that task, and then we'll republish it on Amazon. But the world is huge, and it's full of people who love their family, and if they consider you your family, consider you their family, they'll learn to love you. And I hope we can be the same. Anyway, take care, guys. Love you guys. Peace out. Take care of yourself.